Welcome back to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest. I was contemplating doing a opening scene like I did last week, to kind of address my guest. But instead, this time, they're so much part of the show, they're just here for the whole ride. Dustin Baker, TJ Galooly, welcome.
What's up?
Hello.
All right, that was horrible, but we will move on.
I was letting TJ do his introduction first.
He just said hi. Said hi.
I was actually reading over what I had. I was actually reading over what I wrote down for. Look at this. Look at all I wrote for Infinity War.
All right.
You and I both know that's not as much as it looks like on that little phone.
I thought the scroll would be a lot more dramatic.
Whoa.
Okay, to be fair though, that is a pretty big scroll.
We are back this week to talk about Avengers Infinity War because last week with Ryan, it was the Thanos train. All we could talk about was Thanos, and I mean, you can understand why. He's amazing. But for real, this movie in general, aside from Thanos, all the other characters coming together, in my opinion, made for the perfect Marvel concoction. Everything almost they've done funneling into this movie, and a story centered around all the characters seems impossible. It's such a big task, and yet they pulled it off. Dustin, what do you think about the movie overall?
Yes, it's so funny that you said they pulled it off, because look at my first note. It's backwards, but it says they pulled it off.
Yes, we believe.
I think when we talked, I think we had a text conversation. Maybe this was a real conversation, but I remember asking you guys what your favorite Avengers movies are. Like just Avengers, how would you rank them? I think I was saying how Rise of Ultron is probably like the worst one.
It's Age of Ultron.
But only because all of them are so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we did that on the show, didn't we? It's funny. I
don't remember. But when we were having this conversation, whether it was through text or an episode, I don't remember. I remember being like, look, I think Infinity War is probably like favorite, but I do think the first Avengers is still like the most. It's like that's the best one. The first Avengers is the best because it established like, hey, look, we can do this. We can take all these characters and bring them together and create a movie that feels organic and like a spectacle unlike anything you've ever seen. And then when Infinity War was coming around, I remember thinking, are they going to be able to do this again? Because now it's not just the OG Avengers. They're taking in multiple series that they've been building now and putting everything together. So we're not just getting, Cap and Iron Man. We're getting the Guardians of the Galaxy. We're getting like Ant-Man. We're getting all these characters that have been lingering, but now it's like even bigger. And like you said, they pulled it off. They somehow pulled it off.
They pulled it off. It's that, I don't know, the fact that we haven't seen half of these characters, you're right, and it's such a big cast. Can they pull this off? And I think they couldn't have done it any better, the Russo brothers. I couldn't agree anymore, Dustin. TJ, thoughts on this movie in general? What comes to mind?
I agree. It was perfectly done. I mean, like a symphony of instruments all coming together, just like a dream. I want to say
favorite Avengers or
favorite Marvel, definitely favorite Avengers, maybe one of my favorite all-time Marvel movies.
Yeah.
No. Out of the park. The way that they managed to kind of like divide and conquer how they like put characters together, like how they had Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man like meet the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
All of their like coming together, even like the strong personalities of Doctor Strange and Iron Man, like their clash and how they kind of played off each other. It was just so well put down. All of them coming together, just a masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly. Like I couldn't agree more, man. It's a freaking masterpiece.
Right. No, the structure, they did a good job, like TJ said. Way they split up, like, okay, we have this group of characters working together. We have this group of characters.
Yeah.
They did that very well. They did it efficiently and in a way that, obviously with an end game in mind, it all feels so efficient for like what they needed to happen. And these characters need to be here when this happens, because if they're not, then like we don't get them here in end game and stuff like that. They're like moving like a complex like chess game where it's like these pieces need to be right here on the board. This needs to happen. I mean, yeah, kudos to the Russo brothers for probably tackling what is like one of the most insane movies of all time.
It's very.
And now they got to top it. They got to top them both.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But
I think there's a quote for Thanos here where it's like you have to come back to me or whatever.
Where did that lead you? Back to me. Yeah, you.
Back to the Russo brothers.
You couldn't handle the weight of your failures. Where did that lead you? Back to me. I can't do it. I wish I could do a Thanos impression. He's so cool.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going for, though.
But that's the next movie. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they can be reviewed as one full movie. It was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and 2 at some point. Thanos aside, I always try to figure out who the exact main character is, and I feel like it should and very much well could be Thor, but I think the main character aside from Thanos in that mindset, it's probably Tony Stark, Iron Man. I think he'd be like the centerpiece role of this movie for the heroes, the perspective. He's the one that goes toe to toe with him and makes him drop a bit of blood. He's the one who loses the most in Peter Parker, and he's been seeing this coming since the first Avengers, and he's been trying to tell everybody, we gotta put a suit armor around the world, we need to be more protective, like that trauma still from the Battle in New York. There's this moment in the Sanctum Sanctorum when they're talking, Doctor Strange and all the guys, Bruce tells Thanos no. Bruce tells Tony about Thanos, and at some point it clicks with Tony and he says, "This is it." Like, he says it kind of under his breath, but he's like, "This is it," and that shows to me how he's been almost waiting for this. He knew it wasn't the end somehow.
I feel like he started off with who's the main character, and I kind of feel like the beauty of this movie is sure, it's definitely Tony Stark and Thor, but it's also the Guardians. We're trying to save Gamora, and
yes,
it's Peter trying to becoming an Avenger, and it's Doctor Strange defending what's most sacred to him. So it's I feel like it's a personal story for everyone, and they really do a good job of. I mean, even Drax, they hit all the marks with it's personal for everyone.
Drax was good comedic
that's what makes it great.
Sorry, the last thing you said,
Why is Gamora?
Yeah, I mean that's iconic.
That was improvised. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. No.
Apparently, it was suggested by Chris Pratt.
Well, the idea I was gonna say
that is kind of a Chris Pratt Parks and Rec kind of joke.
Another thing that I was gonna say, and I wanted to bring back up something that Ryan Airy said last week that I didn't consider. Maybe, who knows? This is the only universe that Thanos was able to do the snap in, setting that chain of events that leads to whatever's gonna happen in Doomsday and Secret Wars.
I was going to say, I think the reason when you say who's the main character, you're pointing at all these different characters, and like TJ said, there is kind of an ensemble, hey, each character is getting their moments, because in a lot of ways this is the build up for all of the movies that have come before it. But I think the reason why it's hard to pinpoint one is because, and I feel like you didn't want to say it, but it's Thanos. Thanos is the main character of this movie. This is his movie.
True.
We get the Thanos origin story. We get more time with him probably than anyone else. And I think that is what makes this movie so compelling, is that, Marvel villains in general are a dime a dozen, and the ones that land stick with us for a long time. Obviously, Loki is an exception. He's one of the best. But Thanos, there was so much build up to him, and if they didn't do it right, it wouldn't have the impact that it did.
Could have ruined them.
They created one of the most compelling villains in a long time for movie history. He is now in that echelon of villains when it comes to who do you think about? You got the Joker. I think Thanos is right up there with him. He's compelling, and you kind of understand where he's coming from. It's not just big scary purple guy here to just destroy the universe. It's
outside.
Look around you. Look at all of the problems that are facing the universe. You know how I can fix all this? Through these stones. If I collect them, I'm going to make the universe a better place. Now, is he egotistical and obviously wrong with the way he'll do it? Yes. But they needed to spend this time making Thanos understandable. To make what happens hit even harder. And I think That is what makes this movie so special. This is the Thanos movie.
And like
your favorite character, Eric.
Going off of that, yeah, it's true. I mean, Thor is defeated by the time we meet Thanos in the first scene of the movie. Like, the main character usually wins.
He's coming off of Ragnarok, which was just like an emotional nightmare for the guy.
And Thanos already has the Power Stone. As an audience member, I remember in the theaters, I remember my initial thoughts of being like, "Oh no, he's already got one of them. What the?" I'm like, I wanted to see that. And then Thor says, "When Thanos decimated Xandar," and I'm like, "Xandar? Oh yeah, that's where the stone. Oh, it was Guardians of the Galaxy.
It killed John C. Reilly.
I want to see that." And again, I want to reference last week where there's this character named Nova in the comics, and me and Ryan, I asked him if he thought that the opening scene of his movie would be the Thanos attack for the Power Stone and him ruining his home, and then a hero will be born out of those ashes. And when he tries to go get redemption or something like that, he realizes the Avengers exist, and then he comes around to be like, I don't know much about the hero, but
I remember you guys talking about it, and I thought that was a very cool like opening way to show something we haven't seen and introduce us to this character.
I'm going down my last recent Infinity War episode talking about the same exact thing, so that's not the right way to do this. But we can't stop praising Thanos just because we're doing an overall discussion. Honestly, it's opening up.
No, we need to praise him. This is his movie. TJ, how do you feel about Thanos? And
I'm going to go off
about that.
He was incredibly compelling when he's like making his argument on Titan for why he's committing genocide. Like, he really does it in a compelling way. Even like in the fight on Titan when he like stabs Tony and he like holds his head and he says, "You have my respect, Stark. I hope they remember you." And it's like powerful, like, and he even like
so much.
He reminds him he's like, after I'm done, half of humanity will still be here, and he's like trying to assure him that like it's not actually that bad, that it's going to be okay.
There's nothing
and it's
you
like
can do.
It's very powerful, and Josh Brolin. Man, what a out of the park role. He just
out of the park. Seriously.
Can we just confirm that Thanos doesn't kill unless completely warranted or needed?
Even when he has almost all the stones and he can kill everyone, he just pushes them away.
Exactly.
He just uses defensive maneuvers. He does not kill in cold blood.
He thinks he's the messiah of these stones, and the idea is he's not trying to hurt people. He's trying to make balance. And you got to dig real deep into a perspective of this guy genuinely thinks this is going to work. And to show that in the flashback of this movie, we see how he gets Gamora. Before he can get the stones, his dream, so he can do it all at once, he apparently goes to planets and deliberately actually kills half the population with guns and terrorism. It's very nuanced the way they tell us, but I mean, they literally put half the people on one side of the road and kill them all in that scene. When he's showing Gamora perfectly balanced, this is all things should be. He's a fucking maniac, and the fact that he wins us over like this in this movie, and we don't really know much about the maniac side about him. We know he's a threat, but we get to see him as sort of this self-made messiah. It's really fun to watch. I don't know, man. That's how he becomes relatable. The perseverance, the dedication. Yes, TJ, please.
I just got a kind of a big pivot if you guys wanted to go with it. It's kind of about how this movie was so great and what's been kind of missing for recent movies. My argument is this movie really has stakes. Off the bat, Heimdall and Loki are dead. Right. And he even says no resurrections this time. And it's right away, and he beats the shit out of Hulk, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. When they had what's his name, the Conqueror, Kang. Okay. I really think they should have made him incredibly ferocious like that. He should have in Quantumania. He should have killed Ant-Man. He should have
some of those Ant-Man family. You know who would really should have been? Hank Pym.
I don't think that would even be enough. Truly, I feel like
they bring everyone back. That's the craziest part. I think people are funny when they think Iron Man isn't coming back. I mean, it's one way or another. If Robert Downey Jr. is signing on for these movies, he's signing on to be an actor.
no,
I can expand on what TJ's saying too.
Please
Yeah,
do. Please
go
do.
ahead.
And guys, I haven't hosted both of you in a while, so forgive me for making it feel like the first time we've done it.
Well,
Sorry. Yeah.
So to add on to what TJ's saying too, I completely agree. I have that here as well. It's like this is a movie of consequences, and
Yes.
around the time that this was about to happen, we were getting a lot of Marvel movies, and they were kind of falling into that formula of introduce villain. By the end of the movie, villain defeated, everything is saved.
Yeah.
back to the beginning again.
When do
Reset.
they survive? Well, Red Skull.
This was the movie where, and I feel like people kind of were talking shit about that in a way, oh, it's that Marvel formula. But I feel like Infinity War kind of transcends that formula and becomes this film about consequences, where the ending of a movie like that, to end an Avengers movie the way that they do, is gutsy and just incredible, right? Because it takes the wind out of your sails, where you think okay, I know the Avengers are going to come in and save the day.
Exactly.
Because that's what happens, right? These are superhero movies. The good guys always win. And then at the end of the movie, it's no, they're all mostly dead, and the ones that you even care about a lot that you thought were safe are also dead. And yes, that Endgame's going to come out, and some things will be undone. But leaving that theater and feeling oh my God, they did it. They had the balls to do it.
Hell yeah.
It's incredible. It makes it so much more impactful, because even if it is a temporary blow, it's unlike anything Marvel's ever done before. And you leave the theater actually gutted, oh my God.
It was unlike, honestly, anything, in my opinion, anyone's really done before, with all the bringing together of the characters and the way Thanos just topples through them. And it's a nostalgic journey, yet it's a nostalgic journey now because it's been years. Now I'm quoting the damn thing. I know what it's like to lose. Dustin and TJ, you both have notes and riveting, honestly, thought-provoking things to say. Why don't you... let's start with TJ.
I can gush about just everything that Infinity War does. I just think it's so cool, and I can keep repeating myself because I just feel about it so strongly, where it's it was just cool. They did it. They pulled it off, and then they went above and beyond. Again, something to me, I think them breaking the Marvel formula in a way for this movie is what makes it stand out. So now you're getting pretty much a villain origin story movie with Thanos. You're getting the movie through his perspective for the most part. Then you end it with him winning. And that's why I think it's so easy to argue he's the main character, because by the end of the movie, Thanos has succeeded in what he set out to do. And in the beginning of the movie, he's just starting his main plan, and then by the end, he's done it, right? So you could argue that that's the main character, because we see him accomplish what the beginning of the movie sets out to do.
Starts with him too.
He literally watches the sunset at the end. I have achieved what I wanted. It's awesome.
It's
it's just so
what I said
cool.
in Doctor Strange. I want to sit on the sunset, watch the world.
It's such a successful thing. The Russo brothers.
It's my favorite.
Really came in, and again, they just kind of, in a way, it's commenting on what the MCU has been doing, and a lack of risk, and now it's here is risk. To the point now where we are living, I feel in post Infinity War Marvel, right? Where it's how do you capture that again without falling back into the same formula that you were doing prior to Infinity War, right? It's tough. It's a tricky thing.
I will come in and defend modern Marvel, but I won't.
No, I'm not saying it's I'm not saying they've done that completely, and I think by going through shows now, they're able to change up the formula in a way that at least feels hey, you're not in this for a 2-hour movie, you're in this for a mini-series, and we're going to get to explore themes and characters that might otherwise not get the time of day. And I feel that's a good pivot, that's a good way to change up what the movies have been doing for so long.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to fill the Infinity War shoes. In Endgame, part of that, right? They're just such a momentous, we did this thing 10 years in the making, and it just all lands, right?
It's gonna have to, honestly, it's gonna have to be as good as Infinity War, Doomsday. It has to be. I know that's a lot to put it under, but it's not even their fault. But it has to be a hit out of the park. Marvel needs it to come back. If they pull those off, Like, if they pull those movies off, then we would have had a bump in the road and we move on. And we still got great movies for a while for. But if they fuck Doomsday up, we're going to another one where they could fuck that up too, which most likely will be fucked up if the first one's fucked up. And it's, as a Marvel fan, like I'm like having anxiety. I'm like, please be good.
The fact that we're talking about this fantastic Russo brother movie where, like I said, he managed to pull all of these different strings from all of these things together. They got to do it again, and if they did it once, they could do it again. And I have faith that whatever they make, it's going to be. It might not be as great as Infinity War and Endgame, but I bet it will be a really good movie. So I have faith it's going to be good.
It really could be a really, really good movie. I think the Russo brothers give me the most confidence. They're only two guys, and for some reason, yet we're giving them the keys again. They let us be on our own for like 5 years with no Avengers movies. They couldn't put one Avengers movie together in 5 years. Longest time we've been without an Avengers movie. And they're asking these guys to actually pick up all the broken pieces and put them back together. I think that's kind of amazing because the Russo brothers are great. But I think that could be a whole lot of pressure. It gives me the ending of Game of Thrones vibes. I don't want this series to go to shit. And what they're going to do is, I already kind of confirmed, after Secret Wars, they're going to reset everything. So we'll get some characters back, but we're going to get, like, no more multiverse, one singular universe type shit.
Yeah, I think that's probably a smart move. And again, I wouldn't bet against the Russo brothers, right? Like, they've proved themselves time. They have some of the best Marvel movies under their belt, even the Captain America movies that they did, some of the best.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't bet against them. I do think they have their work cut out for them, but I don't know how much we should talk about next few movies. Try to keep it, I guess, to Infinity War.
This movie.
And I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, I know TJ has a lot of notes. I didn't know if you had anything on there you wanted to bring up, or you want to talk about, like, some of our favorite moments in the movie. If you want to do something like that.
Let's do that next.
Like some highlights.
I want to give TJ like the floor for a few, because he's got a lot of notes, and then we can do that type of thing, Dustin.
Sure. I mean, no. I mean, let's just start with that. That sounds good to me.
Wait. What? Start with what?
We're gonna go through the best.
Right, just like some great moments of the movie. Off the top of my head is it's so simple, but when Captain America is introduced, he's like revealed behind the train. He's got the beard. I remember being in the theater. My wife turned to me and she was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Captain fucking America."
He looks so good too.
He looks
so fucking badass, and it really got me going.
Cap for a little bit.
It got me so hyped. He's like gritty street level Cap.
Yeah, dude. He's got these. Cool. I don't know how.
Does he actually have like the non-shield? Does he have like that arm thing instead?
I think they're arm shields. I think they're arm shields.
Nothing when we first meet him.
Get this man his shield.
Not until he goes and fights in Wakanda. He has nothing. He has no shield.
In Wakanda,
I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Before Wakanda, he had nothing. In Wakanda, they gave him the dualies, and we didn't really get to see. Yeah. I only really saw him punching things with it. I never seen him stand behind it.
He's really punching with in that movie. He's like killing some aliens in that movie.
Well, like Tony made him give a.
Well, he's just
like Tony gave Thanos a drop of blood. Steve gave Thanos like a show of willpower and honestly, like that spirit and that will to try. Like Thanos is taken aback by Steve Rogers. Like, and it's a quick moment, nuanced, beautiful, because so many things can be happening in one moment. But that moment where he's holding his glove in slow motion, that's our hero. That is our Captain America going for up against the odds, and he's gonna die trying. Like, man, that breaks me when I see him knocked down by Thanos. Keeps going, I love this movie.
Yeah, I'll bring up a part, but
sorry, guys.
Not only will I bring up a scene, I feel like it also needs a little bit of explaining. I really feel like the way this movie is formulated, it doesn't have like a typical movie structure. Because it can't really have one, right? Like there's 50 characters and they have to split up into 3 groups.
There's like,
but despite being kind of like being like a mess of like puzzle pieces that they're slowly putting together, there is still this like dreadful like build up that you're waiting, like because like as we watch it, Thanos is winning. He's collecting more and more, and like you're just waiting, and then when it starts to get to the Battle of Wakanda, you're like, oh my god. So like we're running out of movie time. Yeah. Things don't look good for anybody. What the hell?
When's he gonna pull down that
momentum of like? It's like the time is ticking, and I feel like the movie really does manage to make you feel that like, oh god, like we're running out of time. Like this is bad. That fear is building, and then during all that feeling of like, oh god, what's gonna happen when Thor shows up with the axe?
That's like the most
Wakanda to join the battle.
That's so.
It's one of the coolest things ever, right? Like. And especially if coming off of Ragnarok, where like I feel like we all left the movie loving Thor more than ever, for him to show up and just like start kicking ass with that axe, it's just so awesome, right? Like it's so cool, and he's got the short hair and like the missing eye. It's just like damn,
iconic
like,
new look.
Oh, we thought, oh, there's no way that the heroes will be able to stop him. There's a moment when Thor shows up that you think the Avengers got this, right? Like there's no way.
That was the moment.
And it's still playing with our head where we think. He had the new weapon, and there's that moment where we start. I think the movie. Whoa. Avengers are going to be okay. We're going to save the day. Thor's here with his new weapon. We're all good, guys. And then the movie's like, actually, that's still not enough.
There was even a moment too when Wanda destroys the stone.
Yeah, she picks up the. Oh yeah, she's.
And I'm like,
they did it.
Yeah. It cost so much, but it was done. Right. It's over. And then it's just like that huge twist. It's just like, nope, no time to mourn, no time at all. He just winds it back.
Except when he's like, I know you're pain, my child. Right. I know you're
pain. It's a total gut punch.
Dude, he created the Scarlet fucking Witch right there and then. I gotta stop swearing. I don't know why I want to swear in front of you guys.
I swore a little bit too when I was talking about Thor just now.
That's a good example of how this movie sets every single character in it on a unique path further into the MCU, and everyone is impacted by it. And in any like trilogy recap you can do in the MCU right now, it always culminates with these movies in the middle of it, and then a final movie, or the other way around. My point is like. To be an MCU fan, there comes a little bit more homework if you want to enjoy it to the best potential. And I never even looked the other way since I saw Iron Man. So like I don't know what that's like, but I'm assuming there's a lot of like new fans coming in. And Infinity War could be maybe the worst movie, ironically, for a new person to watch. Because they don't know what the fuck's going on, and it's a culmination of 10 years of storytelling, and it is like the one movie where if you've seen the other movies, you'll enjoy this movie better. They do their best. They have Wong introduce the Infinity Stones. They have they have a movie in Infinity War that could stand on its own without knowing anything, but like, man, just the stakes, right? TJ, you were talking about the stakes, and it wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be the same if it wasn't like that. I can't think of a moment in the movie that I would like change. I wouldn't have Thanos lose. I can't. I want more fighting. I want more Thanos. Like, but there's enough. Like, there's enough of it. I like the what if scenarios. Like, what if the Avengers didn't disband and they were all there on Earth for the attacks and like banded together. And yeah, they'd win. They'd probably win. And that's what's kind of crazy and good about Civil War. And what are you doing? Are you raising your hand or are you...
I was trying to.
I thought you were trying to block out like my light or Dustin's light. Oh man, we're a video podcast now.
So, all right, like I want to talk about my like probably second favorite scene of the whole movie, and that's the fight on Titan.
Oh my god, yeah, I agree. That's my favorite.
It's incredibly cool. Just to see like the plan that was Peter's all come together. It was so cool. They had what's her name? She can like Mantis. She like falls down and puts him to sleep, and they got Peter trying to pull off the glove, and it's just so well put together.
Peter Parker, Peter Quill. We got both the Peters, and
it was just like, oh, it was so hurtful.
If you didn't like
and so understanding when Peter punches him, and he loses the opportunity to take off the glove, and
they almost got it.
I know people really hate him for that, but like, all right, I've been watching the Guardians, since it first came out, and I've always associated Gamora with my wife. So I was like,
oh shit.
I don't know. Even in that moment, I was like, oh fuck no. Like, I would be sorry for swearing again.
I think I'm going to leave it all in.
I would be so mad. Like, I don't even know how I would react. And I totally get it. And it was so hard to watch.
Thanos throwing Gamora off the cliff, are you talking about?
No, well, that too, but just watching Peter mess up their plan, the plan that he made to get the gauntlet off his hand.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Mantis shouldn't have said that. He's mourning! It's like, what's he mourning? What is this big purple whatever? And she's like, he's in pain.
Or if what's her name didn't come,
Nebula.
The robot Nebula, because she definitely was like,
stirred that fucking pot, and she didn't mean to. She had personal stakes in it. Like, literally, this man would torture her. You get to see an example of what he always does to her, and I honestly totally get her showing up. Especially when she realizes and prays and hopes.
It was cool when she did.
Huh?
Like, when she crashed the ship, like, right into him, like, it raised the stakes when she arrived. It was like, damn.
So mad. It got Thanos so mad, especially when that building was on top of him, and he was like, us? Or what was it?
No, it was so many cool scenes, like, to watch. Like, something that was kind of frustrating on hindsight is, like, they kind of each had their one-on-ones. Like, Doctor Strange fought him one-on-one for a while. And it was probably one of the coolest Thanos. Yeah, it was probably one of the coolest scenes
in the MCU.
I love the way that they were going mano a mano with, like, because they both have like reality powers in a way. It was awesome. And then, but the best part was when he fought Iron Man, and he throws like a whole moon at him.
That's so
It was like
cool.
One of the craziest fights ever. And I just love, like I said before, how he's, like, so charismatic to Tony as he, like, nearly kills him on the spot. Like, wow, so powerful.
He almost killed Tony because Tony was trying to kill him. And I think Thanos saw it as some part of his destiny to kill Tony Stark. We don't know how fully he knows Tony, but he does. And Tony knows. And it's in the way maybe that Tony knows him. Where it's like, well, there's got to be a reason for all these aliens attacking. Or there's got to be a reason that Asgardian wannabe king couldn't get the job done with an Infinity Stone or two. Thanos' judgment has been spread across the MCU. Even though, like, they didn't know exactly what they were going to do, like, in 2012. But they knew they wanted to build up to that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think that's my new saying. I think that was pretty cool. I know I'm saying it a lot because I'm like noticing it. Anyway, as a person on microphone, when you edit your stuff, it's good to be self-aware, and it has made me very self-aware how my verbal fillers are I
know, it's hard. I've been painfully aware just listening to the show myself, and I'm like, oh god. Of course.
I give you credibility and I don't hear it. So like the idea of that could be you are just so respected by me and whoever's going to listen to you. Honestly, I don't even hear it. Probably because I'm doing it more than you.
Well, I'm working on it, but all right, how about I got another scene that I love that we haven't touched yet.
Let me guess.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
It's not Thor's arrival, right?
No.
What is it?
It's when they just finish forging Stormbreaker, and they realize that they don't have the handle for it.
Yeah.
And it's like sitting there hot, and it was so cool. I don't even know why it got me like emotional, but it got me emotional when Groot like grows out his arm, picks it up, is like scolding hot, and he cuts off his own arm. Like, man, and just the fact that like now Stormbreaker is like a part of Groot.
Yeah.
It just makes it like so much cooler of a weapon.
Stormbreaker is so freaking awesome, and I think it's like a representation of what this movie is. It's a combination of all the greatest things Marvel has to offer, and that moment is really powerful, dude. You're right, and like he makes his arm the handle. Like you wouldn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all, and that's why.
That was really cool, though.
Do you actually know what we're talking about?
With the group.
Oh yeah, you do know.
How dare you question him?
Sorry, he was here the whole time. It's not that I was
He
questioning.
was here the whole time.
I've just been listening intently.
I hate my face sometimes. Stop.
Oh, come on.
Stop being my face.
I love that face. I don't know what I'd do without that face.
That's really sweet.
You know what? Speaking of fun guys,
I'm hosting
this movie's pretty funny. This movie's pretty funny.
Well,
It's got some good jokes. It's like in the way that the MCU normally does have good jokes. I feel like there are good ones in this. I really love. Maybe this was already brought up when I was incapacitated for a brief second. But when he says, "I am Groot," and then "I am Steve Rogers," very funny.
It's
a great
bit.
That is
10 out of 10.
Instantly amazing. Yeah, I love that.
And I love how like Steve Rogers is immediately just like talking tree guy. Yeah, what's up, man? I'm Steve Rogers. Like he doesn't even question it. He's just like, "Hey."
He's
howdy.
a little baffled. He's a bit baffled though. He's like, he's a little thrown
He handles
off.
it with pose and elegance.
He
I love when
doesn't know
Tony-
that that's all he says. That's just what's so funny.
I love when Tony calls Ma Squidward, and
Oh yeah, so good, so good.
let's see. I don't know. It just
Star-Lord.
when Tony cuts him off, and he's like, "Earth is closed today."
Yes.
Like, just shuts him down.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Grimace, ball sack on the chin. Those were from Peter Quill.
Yeah,
I'm gonna knock
those
that.
are good ones too. That's what I mean. It's got like a good amount of jokes.
Peter's got some great lines about like, "Have you ever seen that really movie Aliens?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's so
really
funny.
It's a
old
reference
movie.
to Civil War
Yeah.
too. It's so sick.
Right.
And he kills Ebony Maw. And Ebony Maw was actually really formidable. Damn.
Yeah, he was.
Like,
Killed him easily.
Could have been a main. Yeah. He could have been a main villain in like another movie.
Yeah, if he wasn't in space. Whoops.
Yeah, they're never letting Thanos come back. False. Thanos is coming back. I don't feel like making the argument for it. I'm being optimistic in that. Like I want him to come back, but it has to be in a way that really is needed for the story and not just something to please fans like me. Because I know that's not a good thing either. You know, too much fan service can not be good.
Some really great introductions, let's just say. All right, so I noticed like when they introduced Spider-Man, it's just like a close-up of his arm, and then like when his spider senses are tingling, like they just go straight up. And that's how they introduce Spider-Man. So cool. How could you do that any better? They introduce the Guardians of the Galaxy with the Spinners Rubber Band Man.
Hell yeah.
Immediately, I was like, this is a banger. This movie is so cool.
Oh my god, yes.
Okay, I got something else I want to talk about, but it's a little bit darker.
Go unless Dustin, you have something to say real quick on that topic. Go for it.
Seeing Chadwick Boseman, like on hindsight, he was really skinny, and you could tell that he was sick.
Yeah, dude, he was
like, I don't know,
skinny in the movie.
Like, that was painful. And then to see him get dusted, I'm not even kidding. Wow. I was like teary-eyed as fuck. I was like, this is just too real.
Did he? I don't think he died in real life yet.
It hit me so. No, he didn't yet. But like,
no one knew.
That was his last movie. You know?
No, it wasn't. Endgame was.
Endgame. Okay, you're right. But I don't know. You could tell he was sick.
It was the same
and then
movie.
See him get dusted, and he was like, "This is no place to die." I was like, "Oh man, it just hit me hard."
Yeah.
If they knew he was gonna die, I feel like they would have kept him alive for the end game, like major part of the movie.
Nah, they needed him dusted as well. They needed to lose some of those like major characters,
the assets. Yeah, like Vision.
I think I felt the same way when I rewatched Black Panther, like sometime after his passing. There's just like a lot of like death in that movie, especially when he goes to like the Dreamland where he meets his dad and like. That shit's really powerful.
Marvel was a lot like that. Like they'll put a lot of light-hearted jokes on top of a lot of really heavy shit. This is why I kind of underestimate the pain Thor is in this movie and everything if you consider he just lost and everything he's about to lose. I totally get him gaining weight and going into isolation after he was one head chop away from saving. Fortnite. Yeah, playing Fortnite during the OG season, which actually timed out perfectly. Because they did bring back old Fortnite in 2023.
I heard they did it for your episode, actually.
They did. They listened to me. I don't get paid anything because they can't afford me. I'm not going to go further with the show. TJ, you got something to say?
I got another cool moment to talk about.
You're always welcome to just
cool moment. Let's go.
Intervene with us.
All right. Well, I feel like it's kind of understated, but like there's a really cool moment when they just kill Maw. They send him out of the airlock, and Tony and Doctor Strange are talking, and they're like talking about what to do. And then like Tony's like, I don't know if we should go back, and he's like, we should take the fight to him. And it's like it's such a cool moment, and I really love the logic of it. Like if you have that fight like on Earth, if like you go back home and he comes back for the stones, like it could destroy everything, it could destroy the whole planet. And I feel like it was like such a calculated and like just another classic Tony sacrifice, just to be like, no, we can't go back.
It's hard to see him have the best version of his armor and all these cool things, and we're like, he usually is able to impress us at the end of the movie with that type of stuff. It's like, oh, he can do all this stuff now. But the fact that Thanos shuts that shit straight down.
No, he still impressed me. He had like this cool stuff where he like locked into the ground. Yeah. He made his hand into a hammer and smacked him in the fucking face.
That was the blood. That's what drew the blood.
Right.
All that for a drop of blood. But in my eyes, it's like he is the strongest of anybody. Iron Man almost wants to die a hero because there are people that could have taken those stones. That I sent you guys a funny meme. Like there's all these things that Doctor Strange could have meant by one, and he can fly the stone above you. He can't fly, like things like that. You don't think about it until 5 years, 6 years later, anyway. You can also...
But he did have some of the stones by then, So, like, he could have used the stones that he had probably to fly or do whatever. I don't know.
If I'm remembering it right, he didn't have any of the stones in the endgame fight. He got them all at once because they were all in the gauntlet, which was being, like, thrown around like a football. So, like, all he had was put it on. He took it out, the Power Stone, to punch Captain Marvel because she could have taking him with the stones. She was taking it,
right?
And he pulled it out, and then he punched her with it, which actually got her out of the fight. Which is probably why Tony witnessed, looked around. We're talking about Endgame. Damn it, man! It's a different movie.
Yeah, I was like, that's Endgame, bro.
Dude, it's like
to add to TJ's thing. A lot of that fight on Titan is just really cool. I think Doctor Strange going like full on range mode was really cool. Like when he sits down and you see all the arms, and that was really cool. I've always liked Doctor Strange, so when we see him kind of do his ultimate power stuff, it's like, yeah, this guy's cool.
It's another one. Yeah, we get to see his
just the way it's pretty impressive that the group that is on Titan kind of managed to save the day until Peter Quill messes things up. And how do you guys feel about that? Because I remember there's always like a joke where it's like, it's all Peter's fault, it's all Star-Lord's fault, and I'm always just like,
it is his fault.
Let's not pretend
I love him. I don't personally.
We talked about that like specifically when you were away, actually. But yeah, basically, I said that I understand because I've always seen like Gamora as my wife in Guardians, and so it's always been like a little bit personal. So
yeah,
no, I totally get it, but it was still like heartbreaking to see him mess it up.
Yeah, I kind of let it slide because it's the human in him. Dustin, it's the human moment.
Sorry, I really want to tell you this, Dustin. The scene where. Not the scene. What the fuck? You were talking to me about these group of heroes fighting Thanos, and you were surprised that they could pull it off. Doctor Strange is like instantly one of the strongest heroes when you can imagine between off screen the movie, his movie to this movie, he even learned a bunch of more shit. He's got all the knowledge. We know how smart he is. They got Iron Man, one of the most powerful Avengers. You have Star-Lord. He's just Star-Lord. I mean, like, he wouldn't be able to
You mostly
do this
have humans who have been, like,
and
granted...
Spider-Man. Sorry.
You got the whole Guardians. Yeah, you got the whole team.
Yeah.
The
No.
Well, not the whole team.
Not all of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind.
Or Gamora.
Right.
Exactly. You get why he does
I don't know.
it.
I just always feel like
it's
it's such a... People like write it off as like Star-Lord fucked it all up or it's all his fault, but it's just like, first off, I feel like even if he didn't do that, something else would have happened.
It's all Captain America's fault for not telling Tony about his parents. Like, you can say it, you can take it back to a lot of moments. Like, the reason they weren't together.
Exactly. Let's blame everyone.
Baron Zemo, we could blame. Yeah. Really, Baron Zemo, you could really blame him because he divided them, and even though he had his phone. Well, if I can criticize anything about the movie, this is really more of a criticism of Civil War. They just got this huge fight. Like, there's a rift between them. Why do they make Cap send him a fucking cell phone? Like, he wouldn't do that. Like, they just got in this huge fight. The phone is only there literally as a plot device for Infinity War, so someone can call Cap. That bothers me a little.
You know why.
It's for dramatics, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like they did such a good job of showing you why in Civil War. I mean,
Yeah.
Like, there seemed to be no mending that relationship. And, they were both doing their own things separately still, so they were, like, still contributing, but, like, them working together was kaput. And we knew that.
Except for the fact that he gave him his number.
Personal. It was dark.
His secret number. That Tony could have.
It's because they are heroes and that they know that, like, despite the differences they might have, if push comes to shove,
right,
they need to, like, put aside their differences. And this is that moment. This is the moment that's like, look, you suck, I suck. It doesn't matter. Thanos is here. Like, we have to put it aside right now.
Well, in the universe,
it's because of who they are.
Tony went to space. We're talking about how that's a good decision. If he could have turned it around, or Doctor Strange could have mentioned that he knows how to do it.
Would Tony have been so willing to go if he didn't know that Steve was still on the planet to help, like, run the show? You know what I mean? Like, there's a mutual understanding about each other. Cap trusts Iron Man to go do what he's got to do, and he trusts Cap to keep things good on Earth. It's like, they were at odds in Civil War, but they're both smart enough to see that, like, that's
they didn't have a single conversation or share a single scene the whole movie. I just thought about that.
You were right, dude, and that adds to the weight of things, because in real lifetime, a whole year, 16, 17, 2 years ago in our lives was Civil War. And this whole movie, we wait another year for Tony and Steve to even interact. And that's the moment where he says, I lost the kid. And he says, Tony, we all lost. Like, oh my God. Yeah. To see them, like, kind of embrace each other. And then that very dramatic scene about, you see him, you give him this and you run away. Like, Tony went through the hardest fight with Thanos. Tony was the closest to taking him down. Damn, I tangented, guys. Sorry, Tish. Well, maybe I should just do the rest alone from here. I'm just kidding. I don't know what to say. I'm like,
we could probably start getting to, like, our final thoughts if there's anything else.
Right. I'm pretty much.
You really think so?
I do think so. Yeah.
How long have we been?
My well is dry.
Yeah, I love the movie so much that I honestly I don't even know what I said about it. I know I just spoke its praises.
Peter Dinklage is the giant dwarf. That was awesome.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah.
Happy to see him. Even though his hands kind of, like, made me disturbed.
It's heartbreaking watching Gamora die every time, like when she's sacrificed. Like, it's just, there's no getting around it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Bringing back the Red Skull was a cool idea.
That was
I remember being at the theater and I was like, wow, this is a back. And the moment where Strange gives the stone, knowing that Stark is the only one that could fix this in the future, it's very powerful stuff.
Yeah, especially after he's was so in disagreement with him, he had his vision, and then it changed to kind of like his perspective.
All right, I got a question for you guys. It's pretty much all I have.
Yeah.
Do you think? All right, if they had gone about this differently, instead of, like, all right, sacrificing Vision in that last Hail Mary play, that if they had just tried to turn around and fight him, do you think that maybe they could have done it? Like, all right, they had Wanda, who's arguably like the most powerful human thing.
If she wasn't
and then
protecting him, she could have she had a chance.
Exactly, but then they have Vision himself. They have Thor, Captain America. Everybody was right there.
Vision was
Black Panther.
disabled.
No. Well, kind of. Yeah,
he was
true.
disabled.
But
he was really disabled.
But they could have had a last stand there, like they did on Titan. But they kind of chose to kind of do the safe play.
Let's get the thing out of his head plan that really backfired on them because it made no difference. It was a waste of time. It was the thing they were all focusing on the whole time. Nothing was really spared but the Wakandan city, thank God.
I don't think they could have defeated him if they didn't try to go with the destroy the stone.
Oh, I agree.
Because the destroy the stone thing is kind of like the Hail Mary, right? That's the hey, you can't stop this guy. You gotta do the worst thing you could imagine, Wanda. We need you to do it. There is no, this is it. And I feel like what you brought up, because I forgot about it, was when he flips the time to undo what she did. I think that is more or less them kind of saying look, no matter what they do right now, he has the ability to win. No matter what, they can do it. I mean, and they keep giving the Avengers multiple ways to stop him, and they keep watching it every time.
But you can't go back in time if they cut off his head. There's no going back then. It's done. You can only go back in time to
he wouldn't have snapped.
Situation.
He snaps after you should have gone for the head.
He snaps exactly after that.
I'm saying before that, before when he's going to kill Vision before he gets the Mind Stone, they should have stood their ground instead of.
I don't think they would have won. I'm saying he would have defeated them with the other stones anyway.
They tried to stand their ground. They all were going at him.
They needed Wanda the Heavy to be there to do that. She was only doing half of her power to hold him off and half to start to destroy Vision. If she had focused fully on killing Thanos, I think it might have been a different story.
They did. The Black Order's best play, and maybe only good play that they made in the whole movie was let them think that they killed that guy earlier, the guy with the spear, Corvus Clave or whatever. They said, no, he was dead. He looked like he was going to die. And then he shows up to get the Vision, and he's the one who's fighting him. And eventually it's kind of cool to see Vision spear him with his weapon the exact same way that he was speared. He literally does the same thing to him. I like this movie so much that I'm nervous to talk about it because I want to praise it well. And I will say that it's been good to have Dustin and TJ here to help me collect myself and bring up some of these most significant points of this movie. When you watch something so many times, you can miss some things. But this movie for me, I'll watch it any day of the week. Even if I just watched it a couple days ago, I love this movie. I love bringing people in. I love using it as an advertisement for the MCU, as the big culmination, the big payoff. And I think it'll only grow more legendary in time. And I hope it'll be among the greats, like Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars. Instant classics that come to mind, future me would say. And they've made the MCU a million times better. Ideally in our timeline in the future that works. Dustin, final thoughts?
Yeah, without trying too much to repeat what I said, this movie's incredible. They somehow managed to pull off 10 years in the making and land it bigger and better than I could have imagined is just so cool. It's a blockbuster unlike anything I've ever seen. It's awesome. It's tragic. It's flashy and funny. It's literally just everything all in one.
Colorful.
And it is hard. I can't imagine anything quite topping it. I know Endgame is so cool, and in a lot of ways, Endgame and Infinity War are kind of just within each other, and you can't have one without the other.
They're partners.
But to me, Infinity War will always be the one that hit me harder than Endgame because it just did so many things that I was so surprised with, and yeah, I think it's awesome. I think Thanos is probably one of the coolest villains in modern movie history. And Infinity War is just a cool movie. Cool movie.
More than cool. Ultra cool. Dustin Baker approved kind of cool. Now, TJ, what are your final thoughts, my friend?
Love the movie. I even love it kind of opposite of you in a way that like I try not to watch it that often because it has like this really nostalgic like.
It does. It's so
like I'm almost afraid of like losing the magic that I have like in the theaters that day. Like I can still feel it, and so like
honestly,
it means a lot to me.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I get that.
It's like a massive accumulation of like all these projects that I've been invested in and cared for, and I've really grown to love over the years. You know, the stakes are so high in this movie. Like I was already saying that, like right away, you understand the gravity of the situation, and it's like, wow, this is scary. This is incredible, and yeah, the Russo brothers really got some big shoes to fill for this next one, but I got faith in them for it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do for the next one.
I'll say this: I don't want to wait longer for another Avengers movie, but I will say, and I honestly mean this, give it another year if it's going to take getting it right. Wait, push everything back a year, give us more hero development of all these new heroes you introduced to us, and maybe an extra movie or two to build up the main bad. I heard a freaking rumor that in Fantastic Four, Cillian Murphy is going to be Doctor Doom, a different version than the Robert Downey Jr. one. So that's interesting, and I don't know if that's true, but that's a little possible spoiler for y'all, free of charge, without warning. I don't know. I don't know about that, but guys, having you together means a lot. I don't know if you realize we've kind of assembled a team of podcasting heroes, like me and then you guys, and that's it. Maybe Ryan Airy's kind of like our Thor or Captain Marvel. You know, he's like out there in the world doing more superhero
more
stuff.
of a Captain Marvel type, you know, stronger than us,
yes.
More influential, but like still like, you know, he's part of the crew, you know.
He
come save you when you need it.
Right.
Please come back, Ryan. Anyways, we didn't get to see this one in theaters together. I know I was in a relationship. We made it all about ourselves, and you guys. I mean, all I know is you just wouldn't miss it for the world. So it's really good to actually talk with you guys about this officially on record in the podcast. Because you guys, honestly, right after WandaVision, after show, Dustin and TJ. And that was kind of my vision. Like, I wanted you guys to come in after certain big events or on bigger episodes and bring your perspectives. And honestly, you're a part of the show, guys. I honestly want to know what your input is. I'll tell you after we stop recording about something. I was just saying, would you guys say you want to be in the credits of the show? Like all the credit, like consistent credits?
I don't know if I deserve it if I'm not in every episode.
I agree. I probably only deserve the ones that I'm in.
Shit. I've been doing it all wrong because I never promote. I never put.
You haven't given me credits this whole time?
There's a credit section.
Oh my!
It's for the song
God.
I use.
My career is over. My podcasting career is over before it began.
I know. That's why I got to give you severance. We're gonna let you do every episode from this point on.
Oh, thank you, Eric. So sweet of you.
I don't know how to end this because we could just keep talking. So, guys, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
This is I'm not going to do an after take or a before take. This is the whole episode. This is Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, here with my best buddies, Dustin and TJ, and onward past 100 episodes. Cheers to that. We have a lot more assembling to do over a few more projects like we were just talking about, you know, Secret Wars, Doomsday, and honestly, this next year has 3 huge releases. That being Captain America, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four. And those sound like they can all be game changers. Thanks again, guys. Can I get a bye at the same time that I can cut in?
Bye! Thanks for having us, buddy.
All right. Thanks for being here. And until next time, Avengers, disassemble.